Welcome to the channel. So for this episode, what I wanted to do was pull back the curtain on Autodesk's Forma latest workflow for connected support files. So if you've been playing around in your Forma data management, formerly Autodesk Construction Cloud or ACC, and you go into the hub, go into your library, you might have seen this card for the connected support files and kind of wondered what that was. And this has kind of been an evolving workflow for a while now. This is actually Autodesk's third iteration on workflow and how to set this up, but they don't really explain how it works. So basically what this does is it allows you to add support content to your projects that are hosted up in the cloud. That way, if you have custom line types, custom fonts, custom templates, custom anything, they're able to be supported while they're in a cloud service. So if you go into there, you can click around and open a few things and muddle your way through it, and you can open the help system, and the help system will tell you click here and map this, click here and map that, but it doesn't actually tell you how to use it. So what I wanted to do today was pull back the curtain and explain how to set this up and how to actually use this content. So as I mentioned, this is like the third iteration. Originally, it was kind of an afterthought. There's some other videos you can find on YouTube where they have you open up a file in your ACC at that time, and then open that file in Autodesk for Web, and then map a support folder to it. And, that was one version. The next version came along, and then you could actually map it inside of Civil 3D so that it pointed to folders up on your Forma project, that sort of thing. And this is the latest version. But like I said, it really doesn't explain how to use it. It just kind of explains a quick walkthrough on how to set it up. So that's what I wanted to go over today. So I'm going to kind of start at the beginning. So I'm going to go over to my standard project list. When you first launch Forma, this is normally what you see. You see all your different projects. And for this example, I have 3 projects that I want to focus on today. And these are all just sample projects I created. So I did one project that is just basically a file folder with some drawings in it that might be projects that I'm working on for a certain state or DOT. And then I have another project, again, with just a folder and a couple of files in it, where I might be working on a project for a county or a city or a municipality, something like that. And then I have this other one, support content. And so that's really the golden ticket right there. That's the one we want to really pay attention to and focus on to get all these things to work. So again, these other 2 projects, nothing magical about them. It's just simple files stored in there. All right. So if I come over here and just open up this support project that I created, you'll see I have a couple folders in here, one for, county and one for state. Okay, great. And this is just the example scenario that I'm showing you. There's actually, several different ways to utilize this. If you happen to work for a lot of different agencies, you can create, different project folders for different agencies. If you work internally for an engineering firm, and some projects are imperial, some projects are metric, some projects are in US survey feet, and you've got different templates and different settings for each of those, you can set those folders up. You can say, here's our imperial template. This is our metric template, on and on. Or again, if you are multiple discipline under one roof, you could say this folder is for the civil team. This folder is for the survey team. This folder is for landscape, whatever it may be. So you can kind of let your mind explore the different options. But again, it doesn't have to be for different, external agencies, so to speak. This is just the scenario that I'm showing in this case. So again, once I set this up, I created a folder for each. And in this case, in this scenario, the state has actually provided a state kit. I can go to the DOT's website. I can download it. Their Civil 3D state kit. And it has all of their assemblies, blocks, CUIs, plot styles, templates, support folders, tool palettes, all that fun stuff. And I just put it all up in there. And then I did the same thing for the state. So again, they have their own stuff and their own structure that they're using for different things. And I put that stuff in there as well. Okay, great. So now I have kind of support content for two different scenarios. So what I want to do now is I'm going to go up here and I'm going to come down to Hub Administration. From here, I'm going to jump over to my library, and this is where kind of full circle where I started. You'll see that that's connected support files are right there. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into there, and you'll see that I've already created a couple of these. So this one here is going to be the county kit, and then this one is going to be the state kit. Okay, great. So if I go ahead and click on the state kit, for example, and I've already created this, but it's just by going up and hitting this blue button to start and create it from scratch. And you're going to see the same dialog I get by clicking the edit button. So I'm going to go ahead and open that up. And once this opens up, first thing I want to do is I want to set up my support paths. So any support project content that I'm going to be able to need for the files that I'm housing up on a cloud solution, I'm going to map those in. And so you can see I can put in, plotters, line types, support folders, whatever it may be. I can add however many I want. And then you have a trusted location option here. So if you enable these, that means people that utilize this content have the ability to come in and make modifications. And if you want that flexibility for your team, great. You can just enable all of these, or you can keep them locked down kind of the way I have and just keep the support, the main folder shared, in which case people will be able to use the data, but they won't be able to edit it. So that's how you're going to set those things up. You can add as many lines as you want just by hitting add a location and continue to add those in. Next, we'll jump over to the settings tab. Now over here on the settings tab, you'll notice that there's a drawing template file location. Where do I keep my templates? So I go ahead and map that in. And then what is the default template I use for the quick new command? So whenever I launch the software, whenever I hit the new button, the new document button, what's it going to launch and what template is it going to use for that? Okay. And if I are doing sheet sets and I have a sheet set override file, where's my sheet set override file going to be stored? All right. Moving on down. Do I have custom tool palettes? If so, where are the tool palettes stored? Again, it's all pointing to those same projects I just showed you. Find that folder, find the tool palettes. And then if you want to, you can even add an extra location in the event you want your end users to be able to add to or modify some of the tool palettes. If you want to keep your kind of standard one intact, you can create an additional folder. You can see I call one called tool palette custom, and then any new content that gets created while people are working under this workspace will actually have it written to this other folder. And then finally, down at the bottom, do we have any customization files? What partial customization CUI files are available? And we can map that out as well. Okay. So that's basically what we do. We hit save, and then we have those settings generated, which is great. Again, you can make as many of these as you like. And then once you've done that, you can go ahead and select any one of these and say add to. It's going to go ahead and pull up all of your projects. And then you can just simply put a check mark next to the ones that you want those standards and custom content linked to. And so from there going forward, those are now all linked. So that's how you're going to set those up. You're going to first set up your support paths, I guess you could say. And again, make as many of those scenarios as you like. And then you're going to go ahead and link them to whatever projects they're going to be to. So again, if you were going to be doing like a imperial versus metric and you make a metric support structure, you can come through and say this project, and this project are all in metric. And now it's going to feed all the metric data to those three projects. All right. So you just go through and you set those things up, set up as many as you like, and get those defined that way. Now that you have these set up, and again, I'm looking at it from the Civil 3D side. I happen to have Civil 3D up and running right here. And this is standard vanilla delivered right from Autodesk Civil 3D 2027. This isn't a state kit. This isn't anything custom built into it. I just literally installed Civil 3D and launched the icon. So now if I go ahead and select a file, And you can see it, right here. This is a cloud solution file. So is this one. So I'm going to go ahead and select this file right here. We'll give it a second to open. And what it's doing is it's pinging a new system variable that was added to the software. Now, the system variable is called project aware, and it's on by default. So what project aware does is whenever you select a file that is stored up on Forma or any cloud solution, it looks to see if there's project support data associated to that project. And if it is, it grabs it and pulls it in. So for this scenario, I happen to have a file that is for the county of such and such. Okay, great. And it's got all of their custom content in here, everything they've built into the template. And that's really cool stuff. Now, because my project aware has been enabled, I have a lot of other things that are happening as well. Now, you'll also notice my tool palette right over here happens to be open at the moment. This is a custom tool palette with custom content for this client. And the reason that I'm getting all of this stuff is because when I go over to my tool palette, if I right click on it to choose which tool palettes I want to display, you'll notice there's a new option for project aware. Now, if I click on that and enable it like I have here, as soon as I open a file from this county, it's automatically going to load that county's tool palette. And I'm going to get all their custom blocks and all their custom content. So really cool stuff. Another thing that it's doing is again, if you remember, we set the default value for Q new. So even though I just launched vanilla Civil 3D, if I come up here and hit the little plus sign right there to just start a quick new drawing, this new drawing that just got created with this county's template. So if I go through and start looking, at, the various things that are available to me, you'll see that everything has been customized. So now it's just like I downloaded their county kit or state kit or wherever it may be, installed it and launched their special desktop icon, except for I'm doing it in vanilla Civil 3D. And so now it knows the file I'm in. It knows the project I'm in up on Forma. It knows what templates to use anytime I create a new drawing. It's loading in their custom tool palette. And then this client also had a custom CUI with custom tools up on the ribbon. And those are loading in too, into vanilla Civil 3D without having to install their kit, which is great. And now if I come back to my start again and I pick a different file, maybe this one over here, this one might be a project for the state. And they have their own state kit. They got their own download and they've set everything up the way they want their stuff to work. Okay, great. Once again, same thing is going on here. My project aware detected that. It unloaded. That's why it took a little second. You kind of saw a blink on the screen. It unloaded the county's tool palette. And now I have the state's tool palette. And all of their custom content is in here now, which is really cool. And if I go ahead and hit the plus sign now, I'm going to get a new file. However, this one is for the state. So again, it's pulling the state template and utilizing that for my next new file. And so now if I come over and start looking at different content, you'll see all that custom stuff has been built on that. And it's all because of the project aware. And the state actually had their own CUI as well with some of their own favorite tools. So now I've got the tools for the state and I can work in here. I can work on my files. I can work on their tool palettes. I can use their custom tools that they've built for me. I can create new files. And then I can even work simultaneously. So now when I come over here and click that previous file I was in, again, you'll see a little bit of a blink while it does a quick update. It's going to unload the previous custom ribbon and it's going to load, this custom ribbon. It's also going to unload the tool palette and then it's going to reload this tool palette, the correct one. So it's a really great functionality. It really basically enables you to, have those multiple builds of the software environment, that you might have custom content, custom support data, custom templates, custom tool palettes, custom CUIs, and it puts it all being fed directly from Forma now. And so again, you don't have to have the 10,000 Civil 3D desktop icons for everybody you happen to work with. So it makes it really convenient. And then if I go into my options, right click options, give that a second to load. What you're going to see is that it has also mapped that same information that we set up in our connected support files. So if I come through, I can see my templates, my new default options, my tool palettes. They're all inside there as well. Customization files, everything is in there. So pretty cool stuff. I go ahead and switch back over to a state project. Again, we'll give that a second to blink and update. It's doing a whole lot of stuff of unloading and reloading and streaming, but it's only while you do a switch like this. Performance-wise, there's no lag. There's no slowing. There's no difference once you have a file open and you're working in it. It works the same way all your other files do. But when you switch from client to client or department to department, you will see a little bit of a quick blink while you make those changes. And then when I come over to this one, again, we can see now that we have different paths for this client, different tool palettes, different customization files, and everything inside of here. Okay. So again, it's a really nice way to get things set up. There is, like I said, there is a learn more that you can click on. It doesn't do a lot other than tell you how to map them, but it doesn't really explain how these things work. Now, again, as I mentioned, there is a new system variable called project aware. You can type that at the command line, disable it, and it will not go and pull that data. It'll just open the drawing. So if you feel that that's not a functionality that you would like, you could always disable that. And same thing with your tool palettes. If you don't want them auto customizing, you can go back to traditional, Civil 3D Imperial templates and have those tool palettes available to you as well. And then they won't blink and update as you go. But I just kind of wanted to shed some light on how these things work, because again, as I said, you can go up and you go up to, help and try to understand exactly what it's doing. But it really doesn't tell you anything other than the fact that it wants you to map some paths. So hopefully that makes a lot of sense and kind of pulls back the curtain on how this functionality is supposed to work. So you want to set that stuff up in your hub, but before that, you want to set up your project, set up your support projects, load in all of that support content, whether it's for your different departments, different units, different agencies you work for. Get all of their content built in there, and then set up those connected support paths. And again, make as many as you like that are pointing to that content that you've uploaded. Once you've done that and linked it to your various projects, it's really just opening your files like you always have. But instead, you're going to get all this advanced functionality for auto feeding your templates, your CUIs, your tool palettes, and things like that. So hopefully that helps. If you have any questions about how this works, feel free and drop me a comment down below, and I'll be happy to answer any questions. Thanks for watching.